Welcome back to the Coaching with Impact podcast, the go-to podcast for coaches ready to elevate their online presence and build a lasting impact. I am your host, Fifa Tran, and I'm the owner of the Modern Creative Studio, helping diverse coaches shine with confidence through an elevated online presence using web design and holistic brand strategy. Each episode of this podcast is going to feature candid conversations and interviews with accomplished coaches and subject matter experts in various industries who have navigated the challenges and triumphs of entrepreneurship and are ready to share their knowledge with you. So today I have a public speaking coach who's going to be sharing with us all of his insights on public speaking and all the ways that you can beat anxiety around it. So this is like a really, really big topic around this is a lot of things that people fear about is like public speaking. So I'm really excited to dive into this topic with a public speaking coach today. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome, and thank you so much for inviting.
So I wanted to pronounce your name properly. Can you just like say
Yeah,
it?
it's Waqas.
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 Okay, I wanted to make sure I got that right. So Waqas, I'm really, really happy to have this interview with you. You're actually the first uh, male
Okay.
subject matter expert that I have on this podcast. I'm really excited because I want to include different types of people, both male and female. So it's nice to hear from your perspective, right? Because like I know when it comes to public speaking, a lot of the times, like this is something a lot of women specifically fear around just speaking their voice. And I really wanted to hear also like your perspective on it, like based on your experiences. So before we get into any of these topics, I would love for you to share with the audience a little bit more about your journey.
Okay, sounds good. Well, since I'm the first male, so that puts some pressure on me.
No
I
pressure.
gotta be. Okay, cool. Well, I'm Waqas. I'm from Pakistan originally, but I came to US back in 2019 for my PhD studies in engineering. Um, do you want me to dive deep into the story that made me come to public speaking?
I would love to. Yeah, I would love to hear all of it.
Okay, sounds good. Well, it was first year of my studies in back in Missouri, and the name of the town in Missouri is Rolla. So Rolla is like any typical Midwestern town. So typically it's like a ghost town because you wouldn't find anyone on any normal days of the week or month. But in September of 2019, it always hosts like this one event called Celebration of Nations to celebrate the cultural diversity at our university. And that year, I was super excited to see finally some people in the downtown of Rolla. And I was so we were like I along with my few friends, we were setting up a booth, and we had this booth to showcase cultural heritage from Pakistan, and we had some food items including the chicken biryani, our signature item, the biryani that we made a night before that event by pulling an all-nighter, and in the hope that we will make some money. I mean, at least some amount to make sure that we can have a good coffee or maybe a good dinner. And I was made in charge of selling that food item at our booth, and I was welcoming all those guests and all those people who were coming to our booth, and they were asking me all those questions, and I was explaining all about my culture and everything. And I was feeling super excited. I was feeling super confident. And I was feeling like maybe today I have overcome my anxiety and my social anxiety, particularly because I was over the top. I was explaining everything. I was really cheerful, happy, and confident. But all that joy and excitement, it quickly went away the moment I spotted the media team from our university, and they were visiting each booth one by one, and they were asking questions to people on those booths individually. I mean, if it were like a group situation, I would have survived. But anticipating that they will ask me this question individually, that was horrifying, to be honest. And I saw that media team just same as I would see the angels of death slowly marching towards me, and they have this dagger in their hand, because that media team not only had a mic but also a video camera. And anticipating all that, it kind of killed me. I mean, I was trying to come up with situations, and I was trying to come up with possibilities how I can avoid this forthcoming death by embarrassment. And the strategy I came up with was to just pretend I'm not visible. I'm invisible, right? Something that I've been practicing my entire life. So I thought I was good at it. But that media team came to our booth, and the anchor person, the interviewer, she asked me this question: how have you found living in Rolla so far? This was a simple question, right? I mean, I could have said anything. I could have said amazing, awesome, I loved it, right? And I was the last person at our booth who was talking to the media team. And my friends before me, they talked really eloquently. They were really expressive. They were fully confident, and I was under this pressure that they were so amazing, and I'm just ruining this entire interview because I went blank. My mind went blank. I froze like a deer in the headlights, and it made me realize I'm just bringing shame to our booth. I'm not representing our culture, in a confident way. And that was the moment I tried to come up with a response, a satisfactory response to that question, but I got nothing. I'm thinking and I'm thinking hard, but I got nothing. I mean, that simple question, it felt like a deep philosophical question. Then I mustered up all the courage and I spoke consecutively for 20 long seconds. But FIFA, what I said in that interview was nothing but plain gibberish. A few broken words put together in a very weird sequence that made absolutely no sense. And once I was done speaking, I realized what just happened. I realized that, I mean, I became so embarrassed, so humiliated that, I mean, I just wanted to hide someplace so far and so dark that from there, even I wouldn't be able to find myself, because that was a really high stakes situation. I messed it up, and this entire thing was being video recorded. And I was thinking, what if they put all this entire fiasco on social media, on Instagram? I mean, I would be doomed. In those moments, my self-confidence, it shattered like a broken glass, and I was left picking up all the pieces. And that was the moment I have I had this burning desire in me to get a handle on my anxiety. I found this silver lining in that humiliation, that I should I must overcome this anxiety once and for all, because I'm not gonna survive this way. I mean, I survived 30 years of my life. That's okay, but not anymore. I don't want to. I don't want to live like this anymore. And that was the incident that made me take on this journey, and take the first step. And that's, if it weren't for that incident, we wouldn't be having this chat right now. So I'm super grateful for that humiliation, that it made me achieve my full potential. Not only that, I'm teaching others how to overcome their anxieties, their fears. So this is where I am right now.
That's a really, really inspiring story. And there's always this one moment that
Yes.
pushes you, right? To pushes you to different heights, that changes you completely. And it's like that awakening that you need to figure out what it is that you want to do and to fulfill, and how you want to work on yourself to grow as a person. I kind of resonate in that sense, similar to your story in different ways for sure. Like I had also my own story of like, battling. I don't know if I had social anxiety. I probably did, because
Uh-huh.
it was so hard for me growing up. I always felt like I couldn't speak up because I was like known as the mouse when I was younger. Everybody would be like, "You talk louder," or "Why don't you speak?" And it's like my voice was just prohibited from, like, I couldn't project it. I couldn't. I guess it's a lot of things as you grow up, and as a child you go through a lot of different traumas. You probably
Definitely.
know a lot about that, and is that something that you also like help your clients with, as like the first step, or like what would you
Yeah,
say?
definitely. So the core philosophy of my coaching program is, so what I do is first we uncover those limiting beliefs, the limiting beliefs such as I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, and I'm only good enough if other people think well of me. I mean, these like handful of those beliefs that are creating this anxiety in the first place. So what I do with my coaches, with my clients is we go back in their childhood. So we typically create these beliefs at the age of 6 up to the age of 10 typically. I mean, those we could also create them later in our lives, but typically it's between 6 to 10 age. So what we do is we go back in time and we identify what was the event. It could be a single event, it could be multiple events that created those beliefs or reinforced those beliefs in my clients. So once we identify those limiting beliefs, that mindset, then we try to find a way to eliminate them. There's a like a maybe a 10 or maybe 12 step process to eliminate those limiting beliefs. So for me, the limiting belief that created this anxiety was public speaking is a talent, it's not a skill. This was one of the biggest beliefs that I had, and I held on to it for like 30 years of my life. And second belief was I'm good enough if other people think well of me. So I based my worth on other people's opinion. So whenever I wanted to say something, I was really feared. I had this fear that they might be thinking negative about me. They might be judging me negatively. And the third belief was mistakes and failures are bad. So these three beliefs were the one that actually hindered my ability to speak in front of others, to express my authentic self. And once I worked with someone who uncovered these beliefs and they helped me remove them completely, then there's no stopping me. So I talk about my public humiliation that I just talked about on stage with pride, because I feel pride in it, because this is something I overcame. And not only that, I'm helping others overcome their fears. So this is what actually caused this anxiety in the first place, those handful of limiting beliefs that you created in your childhood, in your school, with your family, with your parents, with your teachers, maybe your friends, colleagues. So what we do is we uncover them and we try to eliminate them one by one.
Yeah, I love that you tap into that core part of like what holds us back a lot of the time, and it's not something that's very fun to reflect back on. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
but you have to face it. I mean, if you are not thinking about it, if you are not reflecting on it, it's gonna stay there unconsciously and it'll bother you for the rest of your life.
yeah. No, I agree 100%. And the fact that you are here today, you share your story on stages and you use it as your catalyst for really just helping
Yeah.
others and changing as a person, like that is super inspiring. And
To be honest, this same story that I told you a little bit about, this
mhm,
is the shorter version of it, but I'm planning to tell the longer version on a stage this next month in December. And the
oh,
stage is the Moth Story Slam. So it's basically a storytelling event where people come and tell their personal stories, and the audience is it's going to be over 300 people sitting in front of me.
wow.
So I feel this confident now that I can talk about this incident on stages, and people get inspired. People get this confidence that if this person can do it, why can't I?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, yeah. No, that's why I love that you're sharing that and you mentioned about your story because everybody has a story to share. And the moment that you share your unique story with people, that's where you create those connections and you become more memorable.
Exactly. I mean, once you share
Yeah,
this vulnerability,
yeah,
people can see you a human. I mean, if you're always being perfect, not making any mistakes, not sharing any vulnerability or weakness, I mean, who would connect with you, right? We are
yeah,
human. We make mistakes. And if someone is not making mistakes, he's being a perfect like a robot, we wouldn't be able to connect to that person on human level, on emotional level.
yeah, 100%. And also, like, I really admire the fact that you're not afraid to just still do it anyway, even if, like, you are somebody who is from a minority, background and like, you don't like you have an accent. Some people are scared of that. Some people, they're like,
Yeah,
oh,
totally.
I have an accent. I don't want to go on stage and like, people are make fun of me. Like, what are some of the things that you felt was the most challenging part of like overcoming that, all of these things that people actually like would think, you would think that people would think about you, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, being from Pakistan and not being a Native American, this has always been a fear for all of us who have migrated to America.
Mm-hmm.
And having this accent, although I worked a lot on my accent, and I think I've gotten better at it. But initially, when I came to US, I had a thick Pakistani accent, and this was also one of the fears, one of the negative mindset that had that I had when I was interviewing in that incident that I just talked about. And
Mm-hmm.
this was definitely one of the limiting belief. But if you go and search on YouTube, let's just search on best public speakers or maybe world champion public speakers in Toastmasters, you would find that many of those speakers, they are either from Sri Lanka, from Zimbabwe.
Wow.
They have this thick accent, but they still won the world championship of public speaking. So this was just a limiting belief in my mind that my accent would play a role in how would people perceive me. So all of those fears, all of those limiting beliefs are right here. They are not in your body language, they are right here in your mindset.
Mm. Yeah, that's why I wanted to mention this, because a lot of like this podcast caters to a lot of minority coaches and like, you know, people who are not from here, from America, So that's something that I want to continue to uplift people with this
Mhm.
podcast. That's why having people like you to talk about public speaking and talking about like facing your fears and just going on stage and doing it anyway is so impactful for the audience to hear more stories like yours, to be able to keep doing it and just do it anyway.
Yes, definitely, definitely. I mean, if you're speaking your mind, if you're showing your vulnerability, your human side, that you too make mistakes and you too fail. I mean, those stories are the best. The story that you fail and that you share with your audience, that you fail spectacularly, those stories resonate with most of the audience members because we are human. We fail, we make mistakes, we are not perfect. And if your story is about being someone who is always perfect, making all those success and all those achievements, accomplishments, getting rewards and all those accolades, I mean, only a few might be able to resonate with you. So sharing vulnerability is a powerful tool that I found when I was learning how to speak publicly and how to overcome this anxiety.
I love that. Yeah. And also, I know like there you mentioned a few things already based on our conversation, but what do you feel is like the biggest misconception about public speaking that you think really hold people back from actually wanting to develop this skill?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the biggest misconceptions that even I had was that public speaking is not a skill, it's a talent.
Mm.
And you're either born with it or you're not born with it. There is no way that you can become a public speaker. That's the biggest misconception because whenever it comes to public speaking, we think of Abraham Lincoln, we think of Winston Churchill, Mahatma Gandhi, we think of all those big names. But believe it or not, they had this anxiety when they started out their careers. They had to overcome it. Even Abraham Lincoln, Winston Churchill, Mahatma Gandhi, Joel Osteen, Sir Richard Branson, Warren Buffett, they had this anxiety. And if they can do it, why can't we? So this is not a talent, it's a skill. And if I was a train wreck, if I am here speaking to you clearly, I hope so. So anyone can do it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I like that you covered that. It's definitely something I thought growing up was something you're born with.
Yeah.
Same as like um, thinking that I can't sell because I'm an introvert. Like that was one thing that was really, really that held me back. But going into entrepreneurship, I really, really wanted to just overcome it, just try to like do it and show people that it's possible to sell as an introvert. And now, like, there's so many things that, so many people who are introverts that sell very, very well. So, like, stuff like
Definitely.
this, these
To
are
be
all,
honest, this is the other way around. I found that most people who speak well
yeah,
and who we can totally resonate with, they are introverts,
that's
right?
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So the names that I just counted, like, all those big names, they were introverts.
Wow. See, that's what's really interesting that I found, like, your personality, you being an introvert doesn't or shouldn't hinder you from developing this skill, right?
Look at it as a power, as a powerful tool, as a resource,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
no, I agree 100%. So this is like, these are just one of the examples. Like, don't hold yourself back because you're an introvert. Like,
Definitely.
like you said, you just heard it. Like, introverts are actually one of the biggest public
Use
speakers.
your power.
I
Definitely.
didn't know
Yeah.
about that. That's interesting.
Glad I helped.
Okay, so um, when it comes to for coaches, like coaches looking to add public speaking as like a way to build their authority and attract clients, what would you say they can do to really start building a speaking presence? Like, what are some of the tips you could share with that?
Okay, sounds great. Yeah, this is something I'm still doing, and I learned that if you keep showing up, let's say here, right here, I'm with you on this podcast, and if you keep showing up your presence, if you keep showing up on LinkedIn, on social media overall, maybe in podcast interviews, on Toastmasters, telling your stories, that is the best way that you can showcase that you are there and you have something to offer, because we all have something to offer. The point is, are we gonna get to those people who need our services? And believe it or not, there are so many people who need our services, because just think about public speaking. This is a fear that about 75% of population have this fear. This is the number one fear, according to Jerry Seinfeld. He also shared this joke in his TV series. He said that people's number one fear is public speaking, and number two is death. Death is number two. Can you believe it?
Oh my God.
And he made this joke that if you're at a funeral, so you would be better off in the casket than doing the eulogy.
Wow.
Does it make sense? I mean, this is totally ridiculous. So I believe that there are a lot of people who need my services. And since I have a passion for this thing, because I know I've been in their shoes, I know how it feels. I know how it feels before overcoming this anxiety. And I also know how it feels. The self confidence boost that I got from overcoming this anxiety was beyond my wildest imagination. Because now I believe that I can achieve anything I want. I mean, launching my own coaching business was something I would never ever imagine like 4 years ago. But now I'm here talking to you, and I'm here offering something that people need. Is a proof that the self confidence boost that you got by overcoming this anxiety, this fear, is beyond your wildest imaginations.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Like, the fact that you are able to just like put yourself out there through different ways besides social media, but through speaking, there's like
Hmm.
a different way for you to connect with people. And it actually builds that authority and that credibility so much faster when you actually get in front of people right in on stage,
Yes.
or even just like not even on stage. It doesn't have to be in person. It could be like this, right? Like you mentioned, on a podcast or like doing a live or just getting yourself in front of people, but on video is can make the biggest difference as opposed to just reading something that you're posting on social media, right? So,
Yes, definitely. And make sure to share your stories.
mhm,
The the I mean, the whole story, with all the failures, with all the mistakes, because that is what makes you human. And if you're sharing all the truth, all those vulnerabilities, people would connect with you and they would see you something genuine, who is not there just faking it,
yeah,
right? So make sure to share your stories, which made you choose a particular field of coaching. For example, the failure that made me choose this coaching field was, I mean, I failed spectacularly. It was the epic fail of the year, to be honest. But there was a story that made me passionate, so passionate that I'm here. sharing my passion with the world.
Yeah. And also, like, there's like when I also went on stage and I shared my story, like the immediate feedback that you get from your audience is the best thing that you could actually witness because, like, a lot of the times you're in your head, you're stuck in your head. A lot of the times you're like, oh, like, especially if you're overthinking, you have perfectionism, and then you
Yeah,
go on stage and then you're just like sharing your story. It's a lot of the times you often think that, oh, I didn't do good enough, like, because that's the case that I felt after I did my first speaking engagement. I felt like I was so small. I felt like I did so many mistakes and I was just over analyzing the situation. But then
hmm
the immediate feedback I got when I got off of the stage was incredible. Like, people actually came to me and they were like, oh, wow, like, you're so knowledgeable about everything when it comes to branding and web design. Like, I didn't know that you could share like a workshop like that. It's just the the feedback that you get after a speaking engagement, whether it be on stage or whether it be virtual, like that is what you want to do more of, and to be able to get more of those like types of feedback, because it
definitely.
definitely makes you like more credible, right?
So there's actually a science behind this storytelling. So whenever you tell your story, your personal story, something that you felt, something that you went through, and it was difficult time for you, it was vulnerable, there's a chemical release in your audience body. That chemical is called oxytocin. So oxytocin is a chemical that is a human connection chemical. For example, when it's releases, that person feels connected to you. They want to talk to you. They want to be friends with you because you share something vulnerable, something that was human. So they can easily connect with you. So there's a science behind this storytelling. Whenever you feel you share this vulnerability, your authentic stories, people feel this urge to connect with you. They can't help but resonate with you.
I didn't know that. That's a really, really great, cool fact. That's why
Yeah,
more of a reason why you shouldn't like overthink things and just really
definitely.
see from
Just
the heart.
totally.
Cool. Okay. Um, so for those like who are just starting off, they don't have any experience really in public speaking. Like, what are some practical steps that you have that can help them to feel a little bit more at ease when it comes to speaking or like just stepping in front of an audience for the first time?
Okay, sounds good. I think one of the things that people always get confused about is your perfect body language, your hand gestures, your eye contact, your delivery makes you confident.
Mm.
But the reality is totally the opposite. For example, if you have all those limiting beliefs like I'm not good enough to become a public speaker, I'm not smart enough, I'm unimportant, I mean, who would listen to me? I have nothing to say. If you have all those limiting beliefs, no matter how much perfect your delivery is, your body language is, you will still feel inconfident internally. You will be self-conscious all the time when you're in front of other people. It could be a stage, it could be one-on-one situation, but the first step would be to uncover those limiting beliefs. Maybe talk to someone who has done it, who has overcome those beliefs. They can help you what beliefs might be causing you all that anxiety in the first place. And the second step will be, once you feel confident sharing your stories, having a conversation with other people on stage or off stage, then you can think about perfecting your body language. Then you can think about honing this art of public speaking, because public speaking doesn't come in like a year or so. You have to spend time every month, every year. It's like a lifelong learning. It's not like one time thing, right? So the
Mhm.
first step would be to be aware of what negative mindset is causing you this anxiety in the first place. Once you uncover that mindset, those limiting beliefs, then the next step will be to learn how to perfect your delivery. So one more thing I also wanted to share was that there are two kinds of anxieties, or let's call them public speaking nerves. One anxiety is good, and the second one is bad. So the one anxiety that is bad that I just talked about, it stems from your limiting beliefs. I'm not good enough. My audience is always judging me negatively. I'm not a born public speaker. I'm unimportant. What I have to say is not important. All those negative beliefs, there are like 13, maybe 20 of those limiting beliefs that I found working with my clients. So once you overcome those limiting beliefs, this anxiety will went away. But the good anxiety, on the other hand, it comes from your body, because when something is important to you, when something that you care about, for example, going up on stage, sharing your stories, there's something you care about, right? So this anxiety or nerves is basically your gut's way of telling you that this is important. Don't mess it up. Be prepared, rehearse. And when you're up on stage, your body sends more blood flow to your brain so that it can function on its optimal level. Have you ever noticed that under a nervous situation, your brain all of a sudden it taps into something totally magical, like as your superpower, and you really remember everything so vividly, and you're really eloquent. But on the other situation, if you're sitting there casually with no fear, no anxiety at all, then you might not be able to be that much eloquent. So right now, the way I'm speaking, I don't speak this way casually with my friends. So all this knowledge, this experience is coming from those nerves, because this is important. What I'm sharing here with the world, this is important. So this is my gut's way of telling me that this is important, and my heart, it pumps more blood to my body, to my brain. And there's a story actually. There's a story in Wyoming that two teenager girls, they were able to lift a tractor, like I don't know how many thousand pounds of a tractor, off their father's chest, because this was a nervous situation, this was a stressful situation, and they got so much power physically through this stress that they were able to lift off a tractor worth, I mean, that could be 1,000 pounds off of their father's chest, and that person, he survived. And this is a real story, right? So this is basically, this stress gives you energy. This stress gives you enthusiasm. It makes you excited that this is important. So there are two stress always. One, good stress that I just talked about, and the second one, the anxiety. I would call it anxiety that comes from your limiting beliefs, your mindset, that always hinder your ability to be your authentic self, to become a confident person. I hope this answers your question.
That was an incredible answer, honestly. Like, I did not know there was two, or like, I mean, I know there's two types of like nerves, but like I don't know much about it. So the fact that you just like broke that down and made it so simple to understand, thank you so much. That was great.
Thank
Um,
you.
that's amazing. I did not know that. What a cool fact.
So I share all this science, all this, the intricacies of public speaking anxiety and the social anxiety in my newsletter. So my newsletter goes out every Wednesday, and I also have a free resource for your audience, by the way. So I will share the link with you, and you can share it with your audience. So in that free resource, I shared all the life lessons, all the insights that I've learned from my own experience of overcoming my anxiety and my fears. And I hope that your audience will learn something to get started. So there's something that you can share with your audience in this podcast.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I was just gonna ask you, like, what are some like cool tips and resources that you have? And I know you have a ton of like amazing resources. Like, I'm part of your newsletter. It's great. Like, I love the tips that you share and also like the resource you shared. Like, that's such an invaluable start to getting into public speaking. But the fact that you shared all these incredible facts today and like all of the different like tips that you mentioned, it's a great way to just like work on yourself and start adding public speaking into one of the ways for you to build a connection with your audience, for you to get out there more often. Because a lot of the times, like, it's easy to sit back and just like type a post or like write something on social media and put yourself out there. But it's a whole other thing to get in front of an audience and speak from the heart and actually connect deeper with your audience on stage or virtually or through a podcast. So I'm grateful that you were able to be here today and I was able to interview you. Where do you think people, like, where's the best place for people to connect with you and find you?
So that resource will be the best place because it has a link to my newsletter, as well as it has a link to book a call with me and see if I can help them, because I don't take anyone who comes to me that I need help, because I only help people who I can help. If someone who is going through something that I went through, so this is something I can totally help them. But if someone wants to perfect their voice inflection, their hand gestures, their body language, I mean, sure, I can help, but this is not my expertise. My expertise lie in addressing their mindset, in making them free of all those limiting beliefs and fears. And once they do, then I give them, those extra tips, like how to perfect your body language, how to use your hand gestures, how to deliver your message, how to craft compelling stories, how to craft their speeches, their presentations. But most of my time is spent on the first part, which is the mindset and limiting beliefs. Because if you don't fix that issue, whatever you do afterwards, it won't fix your problem, because your problem, its root cause is right here.
No, I agree. And like, just thank you for clarifying that, because that is like the first step in overcoming anything. It's always the mindset at the end of the day. So I love that
Definitely.
you clarified that. I love that you focus a lot mainly on that, and then the other stuff is like, because some people ask like, oh, just get into it, but like they don't want to, they don't want to
I
do
did
it.
that. I did that when I was overcoming my anxiety. I was just trying to do it randomly. I was waiting for a miracle to happen. I was totally solving a mystery. It was a mystery to me. But the good news for your audience and for everyone out there is that I have solved that mystery, and I know how to fix this issue, because I don't want anyone else to solve the same problem, the same mystery that I have already solved. So this was a mystery to me. To be honest, I was just throwing darts in the dark, and I mean, it took me 2 years to overcome this anxiety, because I was trying out everything. I was reading books, I was buying digital courses, I was watching YouTube videos, I was going to Toastmasters. I did everything, and I know what works and what doesn't work. So I only focus on those things that actually work.
I love it. Well, I really enjoyed your time having this discussion with you today. I'm really, really grateful.
It
And
was my pleasure. You're so awesome. I mean, how can I decline this opportunity to talk to you?
it was really, really valuable. So, and I'm sure like if you guys loved it too, as much as I did and learned as much as I did just interviewing, I would love for you to just like leave a 5-star review if you enjoyed it, or leave a voice note if you want to share something that you really specifically enjoyed listening to us here today. And we're here. We love your support. And are you mostly on Instagram, or is there a specific platform that you're most active on?
So currently, I'm most active on LinkedIn,
Okay.
because I feel like my audience and people who need my help are on LinkedIn, because I have a STEM background, I have an engineering background, and people who are in STEM background, they have this fear of this, and they have this imposter syndrome. Even though they have PhDs, but they still feel like an imposter, because deep down they have limiting beliefs. They're not good enough. They're not smart enough. So I feel like my audience is out there on LinkedIn. So I'm really active on LinkedIn nowadays.
Yeah, LinkedIn is a specifically great platform for that. I've also heard from other professionals as well, like who also do speaking, that most of the people that they serve is on LinkedIn. So I love LinkedIn. So if you want to connect with Waqas, just make sure to follow him on LinkedIn, and yeah, share us all of your voice notes. And thank you so much for your time today. Make sure to tune in to all of the other episodes we have in store for you. And until next time.